This is a lesson over the muscular and skeletal systems. This is Human Body Step 8, Level 3 lesson. There are 4 parts to the muscular system. The first part is skeletal muscle. Skeletal muscles are muscles that contract and relax to move bone. Those are the muscles that you would use to type or write or move. The next part is tendons. This part connects the skeletal muscles to bones. Tendons could probably be considered to be part of the skeletal system as well, since they connect to bones. Smooth muscle. So this is a second type of muscle, and throughout this lesson we'll end up learning about 3 different types of muscles total. So smooth muscle is the second type of muscle. This muscle is called involuntary, which means it doesn't take thought in order to move this muscle. There's a special part of your brain that's automated or automatic, and it just it does its job. Anytime it needs to be done, it just automatically does it. And so this type of muscle, smooth muscle, is involuntary, and it's also found in many organs such as the stomach, the esophagus, the tendons. It's also in capillaries and blood vessels. The third type of muscle is called cardiac muscle, and anytime you hear the word cardiac, you should think heart. This muscle is also involuntary, which, as you can imagine, is a very good thing because you don't want to have to be thinking about your heart beating, so that just automatically happens. And cardiac muscle, again, the only place that it's found is the heart. So I'm going to go over 4 parts of the skeletal system. So the first part is skeleton, and that's made of bone. You'll learn about the different parts of the bones, and you'll also learn about all the bones in the body when you get to anatomy and physiology. That's in high school and college. So we're just going over some basic parts here. The second part of the skeletal system is cartilage. This is a flexible tissue, and it adds a cushion between bones. You'll find this in joints, and we'll talk about what constitutes a joint just a little bit later. One thing you need to know about cartilage is that if that is missing, so in some people the cartilage either gets worn down or it just kind of breaks down over time. That's what leads to arthritis. So if you have any family or relatives that have arthritis, it's the cartilage that is broken down, and there's bone on bone, which is very uncomfortable feeling. The third part is a ligament. This is a connective tissue, so I like to think of ligaments as very similar to tendons, only ligaments they connect bone to bone, so they hold all kinds of bones together within joints. So our final part is joints. This is part of the body where you have 2 or more bones meeting. So in the picture to the right, you can see there are 3 parts of the knee joint that are meeting and coming together, and they're being held together by the ligaments. There's cartilage in between the bones, and then those ligaments, those tendons are attaching the bones to the muscles in order to move. So let's talk a little bit about how the muscular system works with other systems. So muscular and skeletal system, that's pretty much what we just discussed. So the bones are part of the skeletal system, the skeletal muscles are part of the muscular system, and tendons attach the bone to muscle, and so this is to help you move. The muscular and digestive system work together. These organs that are part of the digestive system, so you'll learn a little bit more about them later on this week or possibly next week. The digestive system has a lot of smooth muscles in the organs, so your esophagus, your stomach, your intestines, and your anus all have smooth muscles that line them. Your nervous system, so this is where whenever you want to move and it takes that thought That thought needs to get from your brain down your spinal cord to your muscles. So your muscular system is constantly working with the nervous system in order to make those skeletal muscles move. It's also constantly working with um, your smooth and your cardiac muscles. So that message again has to travel from a place in your brain down your spinal cord to those specific muscles. The muscular and respiratory system work together primarily to get oxygen into the body. So oxygen is needed for your muscles to work, for your cells to work. It helps break sugar into energy that your cell can use. And so in order for the oxygen to get into the body all the way to those muscles and those cells, the respiratory system needs to be in use. So you take in a deep breath through your mouth and your nose. It goes down your trachea into your lungs. Surrounding your lungs, you have blood vessels, little tiny blood vessels called capillaries. And so those capillaries, they have a wall that's very thin, and that's selective, and it selects oxygen out of the lung area, and it pulls it into the bloodstream, and the bloodstream carries the oxygen to the muscles. And so the muscular system works with the respiratory and circulatory system that way. So here we have the skeletal system working with, we're going to talk about 3 other systems here. So all of them are going to have to do with protection. So the skeletal system helps protect very important or vital parts of the nervous system. So you have your skull, which is part of your skeletal system, part of the skeleton, and your brain, which is part of the nervous system. And so you know that the brain controls all activities for the body. Your vertebrae, or your backbone, that has a nice big hole through it, and it allows the spinal cord to run down through it, and the vertebrae protect the spinal cord. The spinal cord is what helps get the message from the bone to the rest of your body. So if that's severed or broken at any point, the message cannot be received on the body end. The skeletal and the respiratory system, again, protection. Your ribs are there to protect your lungs. Your lungs are very soft. They're made out of tissue. If you were to take them out and put them on a table, they would just flatten right out. They're not structured like the ribs. The ribs are what takes the shape for the lungs. And we'll talk a little bit about how the lungs work during the respiratory system. And finally, the circulatory system. You have a nice big bone where your ribs come together, very thick. That's your sternum. And that sternum bone helps protect your heart, so that if you're hit there hard, it tries to keep the heart from getting the impact.